what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 15 brawlers, which I think will be the best after the balance changes drop sometime next week. So a lot of it can also be subject to change because there's also maybe 6 buffy brawlers, which we don't know about, which probably at least 5 of them will probably be in the top 15 brawlers, so maybe even like technically top 20 if you think about it. But yeah, there's been some balance change talk that we did yesterday, so if you missed that, make sure to watch that before you're watching today's video. But without further ado, let's jump into it. So starting off as one of the best brawlers in the game easily after these balance changes has to be Maisie. So there's only really a handful of brawlers who I think will become way much better with the balance changes. A lot of them have been subtle changes, but Maisie absolutely is a very broken change. So she received a, I think, 10% buff to her projectile speed, so you're just able to land the shots a lot quicker. With Maisie's attack, most of the time it's very hard to hit any shot. Well, it's hard to hit consistently her shots, you know, normally hitting around 50% of your shots, maybe even less when you think about it, because of how hard it is to land. It's just so slow and so predictable, especially if you just open your eyes. If you guys like rewind back to when I'd have arguments with Bobby, for example, I'd be like, well, how do you get into Maisie? Just open your eyes, because it's such a slow attack, right? But now with this projectile speed buff, it is absolutely insane. Maisie already does an insane amount of damage. So of course, with projectile speed buffs in the past, you hit more shots, you're just chaining more supers, and chaining more supers with Maisie normally is just such a toxic thing. Rewind back to when she was meta with her hypercharges, she was just able to chain supers like crazy. It can be devastating. So Maisie absolutely with this buff will be easily top 15. Next brawler on the list is also a brawler that received a big buff with the balance changes, which should be happening in a few days time. It is Lola. So Lola is receiving some crazy buffs. Well, 2 buffs and 1 nerf, but all in total it's just ridiculous how strong Lola will be. So the main one of them is that her clone speed will be matching Lola's speed, so you're just able to manipulate Lola's ego a lot easier, so you're able to keep it alive a lot more consistently. But the big one is that her ego matches Lola's health, so 8,000 health every single time you put out a clone. That is way too overkill. Again, this could change, and it should probably change by looking at the feedback, but Lola with this buff, or even any ego buff with these 2 buffs in total, I think would launch Lola easily into the A tier in my opinion. It just makes it really hard to deal with, and if for whatever reason she does land with an 8,000 health ego, she'll be easily S tier. So yeah, I anticipate some level of buffs with Lola coming in the update. Either way, she'll be very strong. Nori is the next brawler who absolutely will easily be S tier after the balance changes, because with Nori, he wasn't really nerfed appropriately, in my opinion. I mean, there was some okay nerfs, but with Nori, it's quite clear the way that he needs to be nerfed. I've been saying for the longest time that he just needs to wind up his attack a lot slower, because he's just able to launch overalls way too fast, and that is a big problem when you think about just mobility in the game. And we talk about how broken assassins are for the longest time. Well, maybe his 1 versus 1 combat isn't as strong as other assassins. Well, it kind of is actually when you think about it, and you know how to abuse it as much as possible. But just the fact that you can launch yourself, yeah, they didn't fix that. They nerfed a few other things with Nori, but, you know, the health wasn't really the biggest thing in question. The 2 things in question were absolutely his damage output and quick combinations, so they need to be nerfing either of his slash or dash. I don't know what they call them, but either the one where you, like, go through people with your bolt, then probably needs to nerf the damage there, or the slash, just one of them, because the combination when you dash through someone and then tap auto aim to get your slash off, it's like 5k, it's instant, it's 5k damage, and it's so much. So yeah, he needs bigger nerfs to basically get out of the S tier. He's easily going to be S tier. Next brawler who will easily be S tier in the meta after the balance changes will be Wendy. So even if I think they squeeze in a couple more extra nerfs with Wendy, I still think she'll be S tier in the meta, just because of how broken she is currently inside of the game. So I took a look at the leaderboards early today after playing Wendy, and I was like, I can't believe how many prestige free Wendy's there are in the game. Well, I actually can believe, because of how abhorrently broken she is. I think easily she'll go down as a top 10 brawler of all time. And it's not recency bias, you know, Damien's on the brink of it. But Wendy just literally cannot die. It's just impossible to die with Wendy. Yes, she does have some crazy team-wide potential, but if you literally cannot die, kind of like that Larry and Laurie style power, like, yeah, there's something going on. I haven't really played ladder at all since Wendy's release. I don't really play much ladder anyway, but there's actually 0 point playing ladder because of how stupidly broken this brawler is. So yeah, all in all, she'll easily be S tier in my opinion, because I think it would take probably around 10 nerfs to make her a balanced brawler. So yeah, enjoy the Wendy meta whilst it's here, because yeah, she's still broken. So Griff is another brawler which I think will easily be top 15 inside of a game. Even when you take into consideration buffy brawlers, I still think he'll be easily competing with these brawlers. So they nerfed a couple of things with Griff, but they didn't tackle the main problem with him, and it hits his main attack. His main attack damage output is insane. He's just supercharged because of how spread out his attacks are. You add on another row of coins, that is obviously going to make Griff very OP, right? Like, if you did that with Otis or a similar brawler, you just add in like an extra shot onto Otis, for example, he's going to just skyrocket all the meta, and the same's happened with Griff. So it's quite clear that something needs to change with Keep the Change. Hopefully it does before the update arrives, but if there's no more nerfs to Griff, easy S tier in my opinion. You guys know the lore behind Griff. He's just an insane damage dealer. His hypercharge is very broken right now. 2 good gadgets as well. But it's actually all the power right now is in his main attack. In the past, it was to do with piggy bank or anything like that, or maybe like business resilience. But right now, it's absolutely just because of Keep the Change. Next brawler who I think will be on the cusp of maybe top 15, or probably still top 15 in my opinion, it is Rico. So a lot of people are saying that, oh no, what they've done to Rico, they've killed him. I am a firm believer that they've not nerfed him enough, but I mean, he's not overly oppressive in the meta. I think the most annoying thing definitely right now is everybody's running Robo Retreat, so it's really hard to confirm a kill onto Rico. He might not have the same damage output because then you're switching star power, right? But he's very annoying to deal with. But most of the power comes out of Bouncy Castle, and yes, they did nerf the damage with Bouncy Castle, but maybe like the slow duration probably feels a bit too much. I mean, the damage was definitely too much as well, but all of these things combined still leaves Rico in a really good spot, unless with the buffy brawlers there's like, I don't know, 3 assassins out of these new buffy brawlers, and then that's probably the way to counter Rico, and then he'll fall down the meta. But just from these nerfs alone, I don't think it's enough to take him out of like basically easily the high A tier. Another brawler that's easily going to be top 15, even when you take into consideration 6 new buffy brawlers, has to be 8-bit. So 8-bit was one of the few brawlers right now who is S tier currently that didn't receive any nerfs, and I'm a little bit confused by it. I mean, I wasn't the biggest advocate for 8-bit nerfs. I mean, he is very frustrating to face off against, but there are clear counters to him as well. But when you take everything into consideration, he's so hard to kill when he's in the right matchup. So you think if he, you know, if you've got extra credits, which is a very broken mechanic, we've spoke about that enough already, it's very, very strong. But when you switch over to the other gadget where you're able to fully heal up your turret, like, it's just really hard to take down an 8-bit because you try and approach him. You know, like I said, extra credits can just burst you down. You know, if you think you've got the upper hand on him, he can teleport back to his turret and fully heal. You know, he's a very hard kill right now in the meta. It's got to be said. So yeah, 8-bit, again, the damage is always insane with 8-bit. I think he definitely needs some type of nerf with his balance changes. So if he doesn't receive any nerfs, he's going to indirectly get even better. Next brawler who will easily be top 15 has to be Max. So again, the nerfs were great, and I don't actually mind as time goes on, like smaller nerfs to some meta brawlers, because Max isn't like really insanely toxic, but the nerfs weren't enough to take her out of the top 15 if you guys were like frustrated with a Max meta, because she's still going to be very, very prevalent. So I like a couple of the nerfs directions. The main one is Sneaky Sneakers. I think Sneaky Sneakers is actually pretty strong, but because of that gadget, it's been absolutely awful for like, what, 6 years, 5 years, however long it's been out. I don't mind it having a bit of limelight now, but I think over time that probably needs a little bit of a nerf. But the cooldown duration has been nerfed, so that's probably one of the biggest reasons why Max is so good in the meta. But also the supercharge rate with Max is just too much. The buffy, the hypercharge buffy is getting nerfed, but that wasn't the biggest problem. Yes, it was a little bit annoying, but it's the hypercharge super, and it's just our supercharge rate in general. So until they fix those things, Max will easily be a meta brawler. Next brawler who will be in and around the top 15, not absolute confirmed, but I think Mina is secretly a top 15 brawler inside of this meta. So she wasn't nerfed at all. I don't think she needed a nerf, but again, this is the type of brawler that will indirectly get better because of other brawlers getting worse. But Mina is still a big problem, even with the nerf to her last attack. I think it is 3.6k now, and then nerfs to windmill, making it only 1 second. I still think it's a really strong gadget, even after 1 second. I still think in order for Mina to be like not a meta brawler inside of it, again, like she receives nerfs, everyone's like, okay, let's just throw in the B tier, low A tier brawler. But then people realize she's still just as powerful as before because her reload speed is still insane. Like, you're able to juke and put pressure upon the enemies so fast with Mina. So for that reason, again, she's still going to be such a strong meta brawler. So I can definitely, you know, she's going to be bare minimum A tier in the next meta. So if you want a safe brawler to max out, it honestly, you know, could be a really good one because she's always consistently meta since her release. Brock is next on the top 15 list as well. So Brock is still going to be just as powerful as he is from the previous meta because the only thing they've touched is his hypercharge buffy. His hypercharge buffy is really strong, so it definitely needs a nerf. It needs a bigger nerf, way bigger nerf. I think the mechanic of it is just absolutely insane when you think about it. But all in all, with Brock, he's just a very powerful brawler. I think as eventually as time goes on, he will get a bit power crept, as he always seems to do, and just land in an okay spot in knockout and some bounty situations and some high situations. But right now, he's just so prevalent on all three of his game modes. The only way to truly counter Brock is like a max in the meta. So if, you know, max is banned out, then Max can just have, Brock can have so many good matchups inside of the game. So, yeah, Brock just receiving that one nerf, and it was only a tiny nerf, he's easily still going to be meta. Sirius is next on the top 15 list, and again, this is another brawler which has been creeping up into the top 15s. It seems like every time I use Sirius, he just does so much work. I mean, it does kind of the dirty work when you think about it. Like, he's not going to be doing any hard carries. He's so versatile as a thrower, right? When you think about it with Sirius, he can, you know, shoot with his main attack, like in terms of a long attack. He can throw over walls. He can just cycle through supers like crazy. He can still waste a lot of enemy ammunition. And the only true counter to Sirius really is if you're completely breaking open the map with wall breaks, which aren't that many really in the game, or if you're using Edgar or Mortis. Those are the only ways to truly counter Sirius. He's such a great last pick in this meta. Any map with a bunch of walls, Sirius is really good. And other throwers aren't even as good into Sirius as you might think. You know, they're okay into him, but not like a ridiculous out comp when you think about it. So yeah, Sirius, I think he's going to be creeping easily back into the top 15. Meeple is easily going to be in and around the top 15 as well inside of this meta. Another time where Meeple has escaped being nerfed, and that's maybe because in pro play there are ways to counter Meeple, but he's just so annoying to face off against. He's the one brawler in the meta I'm kind of just sick of and just wish would actually just fall off so badly because he's just not skillful. I mean, it's quite fun to use Meeple into enemies because, again, you don't have to take any aim into consideration with Meeple. His attacks just home into people. His two gadgets are extremely toxic. Probably the best kit in the game when you think about it. A homing attack and two really broken gadgets. A broken super that can shoot through walls, and a broken hypercharge allows you to go through walls. Everything about his kit is insane. The only thing he lacks is damage, but most of the time in your comp, you're going to have a heavy damage dealer. That's just how draft works. So yeah, Meeple not receiving any nerfs. Again, indirectly, easily going to get better. And this also leads us on to Surge as well. Another top meta brawler. I'd say he's a little bit overrated in this particular meta. He's like a high A tier, low S tier inside of meta. You'd normally got to pick him a bit later on in draft because there are quite clear counters to Surge. Everyone's learning how to counter him, but he's still very strong. Don't get me wrong, especially in the right matchup. He's still got a very broken hypercharge, which is really hard to stop. And he still gets his super for free. So again, a lot of brawlers in and around him are getting nerfed, so that should allow him to pop off a little bit more. I don't see too many people complaining about Surge in this meta, so again, he will indirectly get a bit better. I think he'll be creeping back up the meta. Next brawler who I think will be top 15 easily after the balance changes has to be Meg. So Meg is receiving a couple of nerfs. They are good nerfs, but not enough to take away from the top S tier in the meta, in my opinion. Unless, again, these buffy brawlers just completely hard counter or just so stupidly broken that just Meg can't do anything about it. But Meg, still, the cooldown with Toolbox, what I've actually been doing hilariously is I've been using the gadget cooldown gear. It's not good on many brawlers whatsoever, but I think it might actually be necessary on Meg now because the whole playstyle around her is basically you get to low health and then you spam out your Toolbox gadget. It hits somebody, you just hit one attack with your basic. You use the power shield, star power as well, which is getting nerfed, but it still would be fine with Meg because you just need to hit one shot. You hit that one shot, then you're back into Meg again, and then you start a cycle all over again. You know, another 19-20 seconds, you have another gadget to use to push back the enemies twice, deal some extra damage. Like, it's just an insane cycle, and until they fix the knockback mechanic or just something about Toolbox, it will forever be broken, even if it's like a 30-second cooldown. It's just such a broken mechanic. The last brawler on the list, kind of scripping and scraping at the edge of the meta. I put in Ems, and to be honest, I think she might start to get power crept a little bit, but I just didn't know who else to really put in this top 15. She's still really good in pro play. Like, I think she's like near top 10 pick rate in terms of scrims right now because there's some really good synergy picks with an Ems. You know, she's best brawler inside of Hot Zone. She's, you know, pretty decent in highs. She can be good in Brawl as well in some certain situations, but again, I do have my reservations a little bit, so I'm just putting her like at the bottom of the top 15 list. I think, again, like, I think as long as the hype star power, you know, as long as there's not any, like, other invulnerability frame gadgets or star powers that come out, which probably will happen in the next update, and Ems will forever be good because of that grey teleport synergy. You know, pop your super, then you're just invulnerable for 0.5 seconds, and it might not seem like a long time, but it works very well for Ems inside of knockout inside of the hot zone metal. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Let me know whether there's any other brawlers you think will indirectly get better. There's always some brawlers that just appear at the top of the meta for whatever reason, you know, with bugs. You know, Stu, for example, is a top 5 brawler in the game right now because he's got speed zone bug. So I'm kind of anticipating that he gets that bug removed, but he could still be top 15 even after that is fixed. Anyways, that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and see you guys next time.